When you live long enough, you start to notice that life has a way of becoming quieter over time. The noise fades, the laughter softens, and the house feels a little bigger than it used to. That's how it was for me after my wife, Helen, passed away. For a long while, the silence was unbearable. The clock on the wall seemed louder, the evenings longer. I'd sit on the porch, coffee in hand, watching the same sun set over the same street, wondering if the days would ever feel full again. And then came Whisper. She was a small white cat, light as air and quiet as her name. She showed up one autumn afternoon on my back porch, meowing faintly, with fur as soft as cotton and eyes the color of morning sky. I didn't plan to keep her, but when I opened the door, she walked right in like she'd always belonged there. After that day, things began to change. The silence wasn't so heavy anymore. Whisper followed me everywhere, around the house, to the garden, even to the dock when I went fishing. She'd sit beside me, her tail flicking, watching the water ripple. Sometimes I'd talk to her like she was an old friend, and somehow it never felt strange. There's something about a cat's presence. It's soft, steady, grounding. She didn't fill the hole Helen left, but she made the edges of it hurt a little less. Not long after Whisper became part of my life, she made a friend, Max, the neighbor's golden retriever. Big, clumsy, always wagging his tail. He belonged to the Miller family next door, a kind couple with a young boy named Owen. Max and Whisper were an odd pair. He'd trot up the street every morning, tail wagging, and she'd dart out from behind the porch to meet him. They'd chase each other down the sidewalk, nap together in the grass, and sometimes share snacks Owen brought over. Watching them play always made me smile. I'd sit on my porch with a cup of coffee, Whisper lounging at my feet, Max stretched out nearby, and for the first time in years, I felt at peace. It was simple, really. Just an old man, a cat, and a dog who didn't know the world could be cruel. We became something of a small family, the three of us. I'd take Whisper on errands. Yes, I was that kind of man. She'd sit in the passenger seat, calm as can be, her eyes scanning the passing world. Sometimes Max came along too. The cashier at the grocery store called them the odd couple, and I'd just laugh. Life felt good again, steady, predictable, until one night when it wasn't. It was a Tuesday evening, late summer turning to fall. Whisper had gone out after dinner, like she always did. She liked to wander the yard, chase the last fireflies, and sit by the fence where Max often waited. But that night, she didn't come back. I waited on the porch, calling her name softly into the dark. Whisper, come on, girl. Usually she'd appear from the shadows with that gentle little trot of hers, but the porch stayed empty. I told myself not to worry. Cats wander. Still, something in my chest felt heavy. I barely slept that night, listening for her soft paw steps that never came. By morning, worry had turned to panic. I checked every street, every backyard, every corner of the neighborhood. I asked the kids walking to school, the mailman, the grocer, everyone. No one had seen her. That afternoon, as I sat outside, my friend Joe, who I often had coffee with on weekends, walked over. He looked uneasy. Hey, he said gently, I think I saw Whisper this morning, down by the old oak near the corner store. She was with Max. The second he said their names together, I felt my stomach drop. I thanked him and started walking fast, then running. When I turned the corner, I froze. Whisper was there, crouched beside Max. Her white fur was dirty, her eyes wide and wet. Max lay still on the pavement, his breathing shallow, his body covered in scrapes and bruises. A car must have hit him. Whisper was crying, not meowing, but crying in a sound I didn't know cats could make.
She wouldn't leave his side. Her small head rested against his paw, and she trembled like a leaf in the wind. "Whisper," I whispered, my voice breaking. I rushed over, kneeling beside them. Max's eyes flickered open for a moment. He looked at me, then at Whisper. I could see the pain in his gaze, but also something else. Peace. I called the vet right away and carried him into my truck, Whisper following close, refusing to stay behind. At the clinic, they took Max in. The vet did everything she could: IVs, oxygen, gentle words that sounded like prayers. Whisper sat on the counter, her tail wrapped around herself, eyes fixed on the door where they had taken him. Hours passed, but time didn't move. Then the vet came out, her face somber. "I'm so sorry," she said quietly. "We did everything we could." For a long while, I couldn't speak. Whisper didn't move either. She just sat there, still as stone. When the Millers arrived, the room filled with tears. Little Owen's sobs echoed through the clinic, and even Whisper seemed to understand. She pressed her head against his hand as if to comfort him. I stood there, helpless, holding my hat in my hands, watching a family say goodbye to their best friend. And beside me, my little white cat mourned her own. The house felt colder after that. Max's bark no longer carried through the yard, and Whisper stopped sleeping on the porch. She spent most of her days lying in the windowsill, staring out toward the street where she last saw him. It broke my heart to see her that way. She barely ate. She didn't chase shadows anymore or meow for attention. She'd curl up beside me at night, but I could feel the sadness in her, like she understood loss better than most people do. Sometimes I'd catch her walking to the fence where she and Max used to play. She'd sit there quietly, tail curled around her, just waiting. It reminded me too much of myself after Helen died, waiting for something that wasn't coming back. I started talking to her more, not to fill the silence, but to let her know she wasn't alone. "We'll be all right, Whisper," I'd say softly. "We've still got each other, don't we?" After a while, little changes began to happen. One morning, she followed me to the dock again. She sat beside me as I baited the hook, her tail flicking like old times. Another day, she batted at a string I was tying. It wasn't much, but it was something. Grief has a way of coming in waves, some days gentle, some days rough, but Whisper and I learned to float through them together.